What's up guys, the Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be my latest update video for the end of July. Most of the records that I have bought are from the Isle of Wight holiday with the family, and I've bought a couple of CDs along the way, and I got something really cool from an idea that I had to show you really later on in this particular update. Let's get on to the records first. The first record, Black Sabbath's Sabotage. This is one of my favourite albums of all time. This is the NEMS pressing, and this record played very mediocre, unfortunately. There is an abrupt bit of crackling noise on Don't Start Too Late. I couldn't hear it properly, but side 2 really threw me off with some crackles to some skips, especially with Super Tsar. So I couldn't accept that. I am going to buy a different pressing of this album because I don't really want to accept a purchase of an album where my listening experiences aren't perfect. But anyways, Sabotage recently turned 45 not too long ago, which is a plus. One of my big favourite Black Sabbath albums, as you already know if you have seen my review or the rankings of this band's discography. The second one, the Moody Blues, On the Threshold of a Dream. The other one that I've got belongs to one of my friends, which I still have, but I decided to buy this just to test and see if this pressing is better than the other. This is not an original, but I don't mind it. I do love some of the Moody Blues, as they are one of my favourite Birmingham-based bands. The third one here was quite a surprise. Now, if you aren't familiar with some artists in the newer day and age of blues, you need to check this guy out. This is Lawrence Jones with his album, What's It Gonna Be? Haven't played this one yet. He's a really cool, dedicating, supportive musician. His live shows, from what I've seen, are tremendous. Great lead guitar work as well. Friends with Buddy Guy and Walter Trout. So I highly recommend checking out Lawrence Jones. The next one, the Mahavishnu Orchestra, Between Nothingness and Eternity. I have heard way better sounds of performances from this band on different shows, but this one is really good. Some of the playing is a little too loose and sloppy from John's guitar work, but I decided to buy this because, again, they are one of my favourite bands of all time, and definitely check out The Inner Mounting Flame and Birds of Fire, two essential jazz fusion instrumental classic records. This one coming up, another live album. Now this was mentioned from one of my favourite guitar players, Paul Gilbert, on one interview video from the JHS Pedals YouTube channel, and he mentioned this, Robin Trower Live, being one of those albums that anyone should listen to. Robin's guitar work is amazing, sublime, and this was released on the Chrysalis label. Just some stunning work here, especially onto the drumming from Bill and James's bass lines and vocal points here. This is a fantastic live album, and I highly recommend this. Just a big monster of some of Robin's best lead work that I've ever heard. It's quite Jimi Hendrix inspired, at least from what I think. Love this live record. The next one is Rush, Grace Under Pressure. This is an unofficial, but the record itself played greatly. This is one of my favourite Rush albums. It's very catchy, I have to say. Some of the guitar work from Alex Lifeson, another favourite for me, are amazing. Brilliant songs. They follow together mostly strongly. It's not a classic, but I could still regard this as like maybe a top 10 for now favourite Rush album, or close to top 10. I love the album cover. This was worth the purchase. Next one, the Rolling Stones' Tattoo You. It is one of my favourite Rolling Stones albums. I think this is an original as well, but I still love some of the songs to this record, and the production is awesome as well. I will be doing my discography ranking of the Stones' discography after I review Blue and Lonesome, which is going to be the next video after this update. And the last one here from the Isle of Wight Records purchases, David Bowie, Aladdin Sane. This is maybe an original, I'll have to look this up, but I always really like this album so much. The follow-up to Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, but controversially, I think this is more of the favoritism album than Ziggy Stardust. I mean, that album is great and all, but I think there are tracks of this that are so great. Very different sounding, as it is very stylistic in places. One of my favourite Bowie albums, at least in the top 5. Just a stunning record. The last 2 records I bought from eBay, and they've arrived yesterday. This is My Bloody Valentine's MBV. I did declare this as one of my favourite albums of the last decade. They're most experimental in a way. It's no classic like Loveless, but I love a lot of the stuff on here. It's practically my second favourite My Bloody Valentine album overall. And I think some of the songs are so out there, from the distorted feedback, noisy guitars, and out of the blue stuff on here. Awesome record, without a doubt. The last one, I'm very thrilled to have this. This is Jimi Hendrix and the Band of Gypsies, triple vinyl set from the authorised Hendrix Family Edition, and the stickers there. Some of the playing Hendrix did on this live record, phenomenal. I love the guitar solos from Stone Free. 5 minutes of one of my top 3 favourite Hendrix solos of all time, to some phenomenal renditions of Machine Gun, to Hear My Train A Coming, Voodoo Child's Light Return, and Earth Blues. So I was really happy to have this live record on vinyl, because I don't see a lot of people having this live album on record, because the CD version is very common. But when I spotted this, I just had to purchase this at a great price. Fantastic live record. Not my favourite. My favourite being the 1970 release of Band of Gypsies. But this is pretty close. Now on to the 2 CDs. The first one, Bob Dylan, Rough and Rowdy Ways. If you haven't seen my review for this album yet, please check it out. First disc has 9 tracks, and the second has Murder Most Foul. I unfortunately don't particularly care for this album cover. It's nothing that special to me, but that doesn't mean that the music isn't special. There's a lot of brilliant stuff on this album. And the last one, I decided to buy this, Liam Gallagher, MTV Unplugged. I have seen the entire live show on YouTube, and it was brilliant. Loved the interaction with the crowd, and some amazing renditions on the Oasis classics to some of his solo stuff. Contains a little poster inside as well. This is really, really good. Now I am going to show you the idea that I've had for some time. Most of these records I've bought from the Isle of Wight, and I decided to dig out some of the other pressings from my record collection to frame these records. I'm going to buy more empty frames and frame more soon, hopefully. Black Sabbath's Sabotage. This is the US 1975 pressing through Warner Brothers. The condition of the record was absolutely horrendous, and frankly enough, this was the first pressing of this album that I've bought, the other one being the NEMS one that I've shown. It didn't look that great, so I decided to frame this. This one, Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. This is my 4th most recent pressing copy of this album. I actually did look back at some of the other pressings, and I had played the second one and picked that copy from Swordfish Records. I bought it some years ago as the most connected and comfortable feel to listen to the album entirely. This unfortunately did suffer with surface noise and some crackling and skips, but it does look very nice framed. This one is an unofficial pressing and sadly the most unplayable record in the entire collection. Freeze, tons of sobs. This is a fantastic debut album, by the way, and check it out, as they are one of my favourite bands as well. Genesis again, with Genesis Live. Now this one was one of the first records that I've purchased from the first few record conventions I've been to. This is an unofficial pressing, so I had got another copy that I've bought, can't remember how long ago now, but I decided to have the unofficial one framed up. And the last one here, Tom Waits' Blue Valentine. This one was a big shame, because I believe this was an original. When I had put the record on, from the first 10 seconds, like 5 skips at once, it was completely bad from the start of the record. But I thought, you know, why not frame this, as that I will have to buy another pressing of this album. And I was getting back into Tom Waits for the first time in since a year really, so there you go, that's that. Anyways guys, that is my update video for today. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll keep you guys posted as usual for more videos in the near future.